Hi, this is Emmanuel from Sophos Support. Today, I'll show you how to deploy a Sophos firewall in minutes using Zero Touch configuration. With Zero Touch, a USB stick is no longer required to deploy a firewall, making the process easier than ever. First, you'll add a new firewall and create a starting configuration in Sophos Central. Then, the local site administrator will connect the firewall to the internet and power it on. The firewall connects to Sophos Central, automatically downloads and applies the configuration and registers as a device. Next, you set a new admin password for the firewall. And finally, confirm the registration and management of the firewall in Sophos Central. Before starting, make sure you have a compatible Sophos firewall. Refer to the link documentation for a full list of supported models. In addition, the firewall must be running SFOS version 20MR1 or later. DHCP must be enabled on the one port the firewall administrator uses to connect to the internet. Sophos firewalls have DHCP enabled on port 2 by default. Finally, if you plan to add multiple firewalls, use separate private browsing tabs to connect to each firewall to prevent caching issues from occurring. Let's get started in Sophos Central. The first step is to add a new firewall and set a starting configuration. On your dashboard, go to My Products, Firewall Management, Firewalls. Click Add Firewall. Then Start Setup. Enter the serial number of your device and click Next. You'll see a confirmation that you claimed the firewall and the corresponding serial number and model are shown. Click Next. Accept the license agreement and click Continue to start configuring the device. Now select the name and time zone and click Continue. Here you can check the license features and opt into the Customer Experience Improvement Program if you wish. Then click Continue. Configure your LAN settings accordingly. If your internet service provider supplied you with a static IP, set this accordingly. If you wish, click Edit Internet Connection to configure your WAN settings. You can cancel or reset this if needed. Enable DCHP and enter a DHCP list range. Click Continue. Next, set your network protection settings and click Continue once again. Check your configuration summary, then click Finish. Now, choose how the firewall will receive its first configuration and register with Sophos Central. For Zero Touch, select the option to download from Sophos Central. Click Continue. Here, you have the option to auto-approve Sophos Central management of the device. If you select this option, the firewall will receive configuration information as soon as it comes online. However, if you don't select this, you can manually approve in Sophos Central later. Click Continue. Information about the firewall deployment steps are now shown. When you're ready, click Finish. Your new device now appears and its status is waiting for deployment. At this point, the firewall is ready to be connected. Now, the local site admin can connect the firewall to the internet on a DHCP-enabled port. By default, this is port 2. Now, power on the device. Sophos Firewall automatically connects to Sophos Central, downloads and applies the configuration, and registers with Sophos Central. If you wish to see the setup progress, type the web admin console address into your browser followed by port 4444. Note, if the firewall cannot connect to Sophos Central, refer to the documentation link in the description for troubleshooting help. Once Zero Touch setup is complete, the firewall web admin console sign-in page will load. You're now able to add the firewall to a group and manage it through Sophos Central. You now need to set an admin password for the device. This ensures that administrators can access the device if it loses its internet connection or is disconnected from Sophos Central. Return to the Firewall Management section. Click the firewall name to connect to its admin console. You're prompted to create a password. Click Set Password to continue. Scroll down to Default Admin's Password Settings. Enter and confirm your password. As always, make sure to store this information securely. Click Apply, then click OK. Your password has been successfully saved. Lastly, verify the firewall is being managed as expected. In a browser, type the web admin console address followed by port 4444. Sign in using admin as the username and the new password you just created. Under System, go to Sophos Central. Under Sophos Central Registration, the device status should be registered. And under Sophos Central Services, the status should be managed. And just like that, your new Sophos firewall is fully deployed using Zero Touch. I hope you found this useful. Check out the documentation for this tech within the video description. For further assistance, view and post questions on community.sophos.com. And go to techbits.sophos.com for more great videos like this one. Thanks for watching.